Grab your coffee and join me, Nicoa, for a caffeinated conversation about life. I'll be talking to people who have chosen to walk their own paths and, just like me, are creating a life by design. I hope it will give you the inspiration you need to do exactly the same. Okay, you guys, I'm about to introduce you to a really cool chick off of TikTok. Are we allowed to say chick anymore? That's probably bad. I don't know.
I don't know about that one. Let's do some research.
We should.
Put it in the show notes.
Let's put it in the show notes, whether or not that's politically correct or not anymore. We're not talking about chickens on a farm. Okay. Let's first show off our equipment.
Yes.
So people can't see us, but we were very impressed that we both had really fancy mics. I have the Blue Yeti mic sponsorship. And what kind of mic do you have, Liz?
I have the Shure M7 something. V?
The M7. That sounds very, spy-like. Yeah. Okay. Everybody, welcome to Coffee with Nicoa. Thank you guys for watching. We're in season 2 now, and I am just so excited because it was my fans, Liz, that helped me find you. Because the way I found Lizz Rantze, everybody write this down, is Lizz. And please, is this really your name? Rantze, Rantze.
That's my name.
Do you rant a lot? I mean, this is really the question.
I mean, kind of.
You come from a long lineage of rants.
Of ranters.
Of ranters, right. There you go.
We've been ranting through the land.
That's so cool. So, Lizz Rantze, the way I found you was that at least, I have about a dozen fans. So at least 4 of them saw your reminder, you design your life video on TikTok. And I mean, I kept getting it and I'm like, who is this chick? And I went back to look at it earlier today and guess what? I'd seen it a million times, but I had forgotten to heart it. So I hearted you today on that video.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All my life designers out there, all 12 of you. Remember that meme?
Thank you, all 12. Hey, everyone counts. I'm still surprised that one person has seen my videos. So, hey,
I'm not. Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody. Here's the quick overview. And as you can tell, we are going to go down some rabbit holes today. All right. So please welcome Lizz Rantze to Coffee with Nicoa. And this is her inaugural podcast interview.
Yes, and she's a little bit nervous.
Oh, right. We were going to do the ASMR on the mics.
ASMR. It's very hard for me to not start imitating TikTok people. Start.
Those videos kind of scare me a little. But then you can't help, you get a little pulled in. You're like, what is she doing with her fingernails? Oh, what is that crinkling sound? And then you're like, stop. No, scroll.
I know. Somehow it's soothing and you're like, I don't want to be in this world, but hey, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes people happy, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, That's exactly right. Because you know what? She designed her life. And I have to say, she was like getting all the money sort of like running up on the side there with that one girl. She was making a ton of money. All right, Miss Storyteller and Creator, you've spent the past 2 decades telling other people's stories until recently, until about a year ago. Is that right? Until about 2020.
2020. That's right. We're going to get that story, that moment. She actually was, it says here, barely employed as an actor. And she said nothing else, you guys, in the bio. So I spent at least 15 minutes because, I do a lot of research and I found your IMDb page.
Oh, no, you did. I wasn't expecting you to do any research.
What?
Oh, no.
What are you trying to say, Liz? Okay.
I'm so sorry. I underestimated you, but I was not counting for that.
So I found the one movie that she's known for, which is Kaleidoscope, which I found another show on Netflix called Kaleidoscope. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking that's not the same one.
No, that's so interesting. Because actually I was just an editor on that movie. The movie I was in was a movie called, this is like my biggest thing, was Hancock with Will Smith and Charlize Theron. I was a nurse, and the only thing that made it in the movie was my hand.
Oh!
That was the peak.
Oh, show me your hand so we can put this on social. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm still getting residuals from these babies.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm going to have to pay you now. Oh, great. Well, you need to update your IMDb because it's not on there.
I know.
It should say like right hand in scene 58.
I know.
Okay.
And then most of my other stuff was theater, so that wouldn't be on there.
Well, I can tell that you have a beautiful background of theatrics because that is how you are really showing up in the social media world now on TikTok. You also, however, had this very successful company, your own creative studio, which you also didn't tell me the name of because I think you're moving a little bit towards this new world, but I found Rants and Raves.
Aptly named.
Aptly named. I know. You guys were doing stuff for Dom Perignon and Universal, Kapari, Be Social. Not moments ago, I'm watching a Kiana video that you did for a musician. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So pretty cool world. So it kind of threw me a bit thinking, in part of your story, you're saying there was a moment where I was giving this all away for other people and I was doing it for others. But if you had your own business, how was that different? Tell us your story. And what was it about that life before the new life we're going to talk about, your new life by design? And may I say, because you like to use the phrase magic in the mundane, may I ask, was it mundane and not magical? What was going on?
You know, it's one of those things, and it's a little bit of a long story, so bear with me.
We have time. I have coffee.
But start sipping. But basically what happened was I had a lot of things going for me. Basically in 2020, I had this company that I'd been running for a decade and things were going really well. We specialized in video production and building brand identities. So I was working with a lot of different brands, doing a lot of branded content. And I loved what I did, genuinely. I also, separately in my personal life, I was and am married to a wonderful man, and we were building a house together. And then I was pushing 40. 2020 hit, and suddenly I'm looking at all these wonderful things in my life. And I'm also, at the same time, probably the most mentally and physically unhealthy I'd ever been, to the point where I didn't even really recognize myself in the mirror. And I just thought to myself, I'm not happy. Not only am I not happy, but the very scary thought of like, I don't know what I'm doing this for. I don't know my purpose anymore. So I had to really look at myself. Now we're in 2020. We had nothing to do.
Oh, but look at ourselves.
We're smack dab in this pandemic. So I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, and I also have this pit, this like deep pit in my stomach of there's something that I really should be doing and I'm not doing it. And also I have no idea what it is and how am I going to find it? So life design totally stumbled upon on accident. I was in the middle. So it's 2020. We are going to be moving into this house that we were building. And I was cleaning out some boxes. I was in this headspace of like, how am I going to do this? How do I even change my life? And I came across a journal that I keep on my desk here and I was just kind of looking through it. It was old quotes that I had like scribbled. And I saw one that said, "You design yourself." And it was from Jay-Z.
Oh, right. I was like, were those your words? Yeah. You design yourself. Yeah.
It was from Jay-Z, who I had made a present for one of my friend's birthdays like a decade ago. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that he said that. And I wrote it down, not thinking I'd think about it again. And then when I read it that time, at that moment, it was one of those, the clouds parted, the light came down. Like, I was like, this is what I have not been doing. I have been chasing my to-do list for the past decade, and I have not actively been choosing the direction of my life or even asking myself, what do I want? Yeah.
So, that's the number one question. Yeah.
So what do I want?
When you read that, when you asked yourself the question, did you have any answers?
No.
None.
That's a very scary place to be. And it's scary, but also kind of fascinating because for the first time in my life, I did not see where I was going. And I still kind of am not, I have more of a direction now. I have my purpose, but I still purposefully don't exactly know where I'm going because I think that's what got me in trouble. and, putting myself in this box of like, this is the steps I follow and this is what I have to do next and da da da. And then I was like, now I'm miserable. So
it's a very common place to be, by the way. I was there as well. I had the American Dream Checklist, and a lot of my clients come to me and they're like, I'm doing everything they said to do. I mean, it's really it's systemic and cultural, and it's not going away fast enough, in my opinion, this pressure. And so that's one of the reasons we have these interviews, is so that we can talk to people about, well, how did you break the habits? How did you change the course? So you talk about systematically changing the direction of your life. Where did you start?
Guess what, y'all? I published a book. Your Life by Design, a Coffee with Nicoa self-care coaching journal, is now available on Amazon. This interactive journal begins and ends with powerful queries, guiding you on a quest for the kind of life by design you don't need a vacation from. I've included an in-depth look at strategic self-care to empower you and hold you accountable to really getting to know your true self. It's time to prioritize you. Use the link in the show notes to buy yours today.
So this is fascinating. They always say, like, write what you know. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start with what I know, which is building brand identities. When you're building a brand identity, the first thing you do is a period called discovery. And that's really, there's a whole questionnaire that we go through, and you really are kind of mining the details of what the brand likes, who they are, deep discussions. And I saw that and I was like, what if I took this idea of discovery and I just turned it into like personal discovery? So I kind of followed the same steps, but I tailored the questions more to myself. So I like audited my life. I started there. And then I followed a series of different steps that I kind of made up. And actually, I don't know if you've seen on my TikTok, there's a series called Ways I'm Designing Life. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah, some.
Those are the steps I took. I basically created that series out of those steps. So, I mean, I went.
So everybody pause right now and go follow her on TikTok and on Instagram. Thank you at Lizz Rantze. Okay, you got it.
Thanks so much. You're hired. So that's where I started. And the steps really, I had to start on the baseline. I did not know. I had lost myself. That was the other scary thing. Like, I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I want or who I am. So I had to start the baseline. I took a personality test. I was reading books, trying to learn how I learn. I was really starting from the beginning to get to know myself, to rebuild the trust with myself, to find out where my passions still lied. Did I still love what I was doing? I did, but was it that I loved, or was it a different aspect of it? You know what I mean? I had to get very specific. Yeah. And I was consuming anything and everything I thought would help me. Books, podcasts. One day I was literally Googling, how do you find your purpose? Like online. And this Mark Manson, I know it works, but this Mark Manson article came up, which I love. I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
And he asked two questions that kind of gave me a little bit of a direction. One of them was, how do you want to be remembered when you're gone? And that to me was like, I have never thought about the legacy that I'm leaving. And the second one was, this is his funny way, but what are you doing to save the world? Ooh. And I thought that, I just got chills again when I said that.
Me too.
That question, because, again, just to give you context, we're in 2020. So people's health, the well-being, community, social unrest, all of that stuff is top of mind. And I was like, that's what I'm missing. I don't know if I'm contributing anything. I don't know if I can contribute anything. What can I do with these skill sets? I'm only qualified to be a creative. Can I do something with that? And that kind of got the ball rolling to start this whole journey.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. I'm curious though, along those paths, a lot of people have the I'm broken, I'm sad, I'm unsatisfied, and then how did you really motivate yourself to begin doing that homework? I mean, what was the rock bottom, and or was it your husband that was like the sounding board to help you get up off your ass and go do this to get out of the funk? Or did you have other people supporting you?
My husband has been, I can't even describe, and I'll start tearing up if I think about how supportive he's been, because I literally was at when I look at pictures of myself from then, I'm like, he still loved me through all the phases. So he's been a huge, huge help during this whole thing and a huge rock and support. But with that said, the only way I was going to change anything is if I did it. And I realized that. And I also was like, okay, you're here now. Do you want to stay here? I feel like my health, I feel like you're not going to live very long. I feel like you're going to be miserable. There's a path that you're going down that we can keep going, but you don't want to. I felt that was the thing. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to feel better. And I want to see what that looks like.
What's an example of something you changed right away? Like you were like, you know what? I'm going to stop doing X.
It's been so gradual. I mean, let me try to give you a concrete something here. You know what I started doing right away? I started being very conscious of what I was consuming. I really believe that you hear that thing that you're kind of the average of the 5 people you hang out with, but I believe you're also the average of the 5 accounts you're following the most, the TV shows you're watching, the books you're reading. All of that influences you and your brain, even if you don't realize it. And that's something I started being conscious of. I just started surrounding myself with these brilliant people who were smarter than myself, online. Everything was online because it was COVID. It's just my husband and I sitting in our house. So I was like, but thank God for the internet. I mean, we have so much access to these brilliant minds that we have a chance to take advantage of. And I just started there.
I think that's really critical because, like energy attracts like energy. And I talk a lot about energy leadership in the work that I do with my clients. And if you are, even we'll watch shows before going to bed at night sometimes. And if it's negative or, I can't watch any of those reality TV shows. About 7 years ago, those housewife shows, they would be on, and I can remember sitting there and I was like, I have to leave the room. I can't experience this catabolic energy any longer. I had to repel it. And so, obviously accounts like yours just make me happy and smile. And I think you're already doing how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to save the world? You're raising the vibration. In my opinion, that's language I like, frequency. And how can we be very anabolic, which is a scientific term for growth and lightness and lighten up. Talk to us about this. First of all, I also want to commend you. You took what you knew, the structure of what was making you successful in your business, and you applied it to yourself. We rarely do that. People don't think they have the skills. And I'm like, use what you know. You have a structure, because guess what? You've been designing your life since you were a little kid. You just didn't do it consciously. You were designing. You're like, I want to do that. Okay. Oh, I don't like that. Okay. That's designing. So commending you. I just want to thank you for what you're doing. Tell everybody what you're doing, because I want to talk about the behind the scenes and it's so fun to watch you.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for even saying that. I appreciate that. I kind of, as I was trying to find my purpose and as I was ruminating on how am I saving the world and what can I contribute, I was just thinking how much I love storytelling, and how that's such a big part of my life. And that's what attracted me to everything I've done in my life. I started young, dancing, and then that kind of morphed into theater, and then that morphed into video production and editing, and then that morphed into me starting my own creative company. And then
we have to interrupt. I think I remember something you told me that we must share with the world. Okay. Did you want to do this, or were you a backup dancer for Janet Jackson, or did you just say that because you wanted to be a backup dancer?
That was a dream, and I don't even know how you found that. Where was that?
Awesome. I don't remember where I found it.
My goodness, you're awesome. Yes, when I was little, that was it. I was like, okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to be a backup dancer for Janet Jackson, and then during the week, I'll be a veterinarian. And my mom was like, done, mic drop. That's it.
Mic drop. Oh, yeah. Don't drop the new mics. Okay, sorry.
No, not the new mic.
That is awesome. I love that so much.
That was a dream. I was not. It didn't work out, but I did. She was my everything. Yes, that's where dance is where it all started. Dance and music videos. I'm kind of going off topic here for a sec, but I'll get back to answering your question.
It doesn't matter. Our people who listen to this account, they love all these stories. So you go ahead.
Okay. When I was little, I was an only child. So my imagination, you're alone. My parents kept me very busy, but you're still alone often. And so my imagination just went crazy. And I remember seeing a Michael Jackson music video. I know how we feel about Michael Jackson, but he created these music videos in the 80s that were game changers. And I remember seeing one and my jaw was just on the floor. I'm like, this is a thing, mixing dance, music, and video. Like, you can make little mini movies. Like, boof, my mind completely exploded. And so since that point, like when I was little, I would just have these videos play in my brain. They would just come to me and I couldn't do anything about it. I could imagine it, but I couldn't do anything about it. And I think now I'm at this weird intersection where I still have those things still download. But now I actually have built the skill and the experience to make it a reality. So I was thinking about all these things and finding my own passions when I was young and knowing that I wanted to do something to kind of help the world in some way. And I thought, what if I just start making these videos that I love to make and just start putting them out there and see if anyone cares? Let's just start there. So I started with my 200 family and friends on Instagram. I would just put something out and I'd see if there was any feedback. If it resonated with one person, I'd be like, okay, keep going. So I did that for a little while. And then in 2022, I believe I started posting on TikTok and we are. It
went wild. And you show these videos, like which one really took off? There was the one where you dress up like the witch and it's like Halloween, like she's a witch, but then it's the different seasons and then Halloween comes and I just love it so much. And with the little girl walks past you and you give her the wink. Oh my God, it's just the best. And that must have taken you like a month or more. How long did it take?
No, it should have taken me a month, but I didn't have the time, nor did all my generous family and friends who I roped into doing that video have the time. So no, I did that start to finish. I think I had to get that done within like 10 days.
Oh maybe. My gosh. You're a rock star.
It was
a lot.
No, that wasn't ideal because there was nights. This is when I was like, I'm not designing my life right because I was up till like 4 a.m. trying to finish the edit. So I'd post it before Halloween. But yeah, that video. So I got very lucky. The second video I posted on TikTok went a little bit viral. And then another video, a couple videos later went a little bit viral. So I had a following kind of quickly. But the video you're talking about was the witch video I posted this past Halloween. And that one went out of, it took on a life completely of its own. And I'm still blown away because it's a 2.5 minute video on TikTok.
It's amazing. Everyone just paused again and they went to look for it. Yeah, I love that. Right. So, what's been really fun for me to watch you is that you also share with us the behind the scenes after the fact. So you do the video and everybody's like, oh, you're so cool. And then like the one of y'all dancing in the grocery store. That was so cool. Anyway, so you showed us the behind the scenes and then the Christmas one. Clearly I am stalking you. You showed the behind the scenes and so in my life by design, Liz, I was like, holy shit, I don't want to do any of that. I can't believe she spent all that energy. My videos are like, I think I'll talk without putting makeup on for 10 minutes and see what people think. So how in the world, and you've got your husband, what'd y'all do? Clear out the house so you could decorate? So you could do like the magic? Okay. No one knows what I'm talking about now.
Yeah, it's okay. You might need to pause and just take a look so you can see some of these quirky videos I'm putting out there. But yes, the holidays are big around here. I decorate the house. The house is kind of a whole other character, I feel like, in my videos. But the holidays are nuts around here.
Well, how do you do that? Like, I mean, I guess you just do it. It's just part of y'all's life, because clearly you can't do this work that you're doing without your husband being 100% on board. I mean, does he work from home as well? And
yeah, but this is important to note. A few things. One, when I started and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and posting stuff, he was like, okay, like we had to have a kind of a family conversation about it. I have very clear boundaries with him of if he wants to, you don't see him in most things because he's not really into it. He's so supportive, but he's like, I don't really feel like being on camera. But he's also in production. He has his own production company. He works mainly in sports and music. Shout out to Life in a Van Productions.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes.
He's incredibly talented, but he does not have the time for me and my shenanigans every day. That's mostly me. We do have talks. I'll be like, I'm shooting in this part of the house today. And we'll just keep the communication going about what's happening. And then obviously during the holidays, yes, yeah, he's the handyman for setting up all those decorations for sure.
Well, that's an important part of this whole story too. So when you have a life by design, usually there are people in your world, whether they're a partner or they're just family or extended friends. And you really have to know how to share with them what you need from them. And like you said, boundary setting, we had to have an upfront conversation. I'm in the midst of moving my mother from her home in Brevard for 15 years here to an independent living facility. And we had a session with a coach, the two of us together. And the coach suggested that we create our contract, because now I'm going to be her primary contact for helping care for her while she's here. So first of all, so far our contract is a I love you and you love me pinky swear. That's where we are now. We haven't written anything down, but we're going to start talking about it. Right. And so I'm really glad you brought that up about you and your husband. Sometimes we make assumptions and we just do our thing. And then the partner is like, excuse me, you keep pulling out your phone to videotape dinner. I mean, that's speaking for a friend, but
right. No, it's true. But I also learned that I won't say that it was perfect when it started, and it still is evolving, because there's still some things that I'm like, oh, well, you're not comfortable with that. I didn't know that. So we have to adjust something, or, oh, you are comfortable with this. So it's continually evolving, but that communication has been very, very important, because what I'm doing is also there's no sort of path I'm following. It's very weird to say this is what I'm doing now. People have opinions when you're 41 years old and you say, I'm a content creator. Well,
what kind of opinions? I mean, to me, it seems like that's kind of the thing these days for a lot of people. Do you no longer work with, rants and raves? I mean, do you still have that business in play, or?
I still have the business. It's for the past year, mainly this was my focus. Kind of on purpose, because I want to give this a chance to see where it's going. This is all part of me, not following the path exactly that I was on. And also I'm so much happier at the moment. Things like this opportunity have started coming up. And so as doors keep opening, I'm like, I'm just going to keep going through them. And I've been, fortunate enough that my husband and I are able to do this. Right now I'm able to kind of pursue my passion and see where it goes.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're happy. I'd love for you to describe the difference between how you felt in 2020 compared to how you feel now in 2024. Wow.
Big changes. Some of them are amazing. Some of them aren't sexy. Some of them are like, I started eating better. I started working out more. I started, going to bed at a decent hour, like the very boring, basic things that we probably all should be doing. I had to kind of prioritize. But I would say, I had a wonderful life. I had great experiences, but how I would describe it is now I can find the joy in every mundane day. Whereas before I would have joy and then it could be 6 months and then I'd have another situation of joy. Now I'm I'm able to handle things a little differently. I have the discipline to be open to opportunities, to make space for those opportunities. And there was a great book during this whole process that I read it's called Big Magic by Lizz Gilbert.
I've read it. I love her.
I love that book. But she has a quote in it. Oh, it's amazing. In the book, she writes a quote that says, and I hope I don't butcher it, but the universe buries strange jewels deep within us all and then stands back to see if we can find them. And I read that and I was like, that's it. I feel like now I'm finding the jewels. I'm starting to be like, this is, there's something here. Let's keep going that way.
Yeah. And, you said something in the very beginning where you said something like, well, how was I going to do all that? How was I going to figure this out? I was just a creator. Just a creator? Are you kidding me? That's the whole point of the age of the Aquarius. Like, we're supposed to be waking up that feminine, energetic side of us that is the creator, to be creative. The previous world, even though you were creating, you were not necessarily aligned with your own creativity. You were learning skills and applying them to help create content for other people. But now you're like waking up probably in the middle of the night saying, I could totally paint this decoration and put it around the door frame, and that'll be an amazing little pop when we do the video about Christmas decorating.
Yes, the ideas come most of the time in the shower, but yes, they're all, that's what's happening.
Showers are good. Water is actually a great way to find answers. So putting yourself in the shower, that's a great activity. Let's talk about self-care and self-dialogue. Maybe start first with self-dialogue. So you're like, I had to do some things that weren't so sexy. Well, how did you change the conversation with yourself? Because that really is a big part of this, right? What am I going to say to myself when I'm laying in the bed thinking, well, I want to go work out, but I really don't want to go work out? Like, how did you change that conversation?
In the beginning, and also, I've had a few health little blips in the past 4 years. So some of it was like, you got to do it, girl. You don't really have a choice. You have to do it. So some of it is that, but it's not easy. It's the willpower. That's something that, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've mastered it, because I haven't. Every day I'm working on it. I call in the morning, I don't know if this is politically correct. It's probably not, but I call it my morning lobotomy. I do like meditation, a journal session, and I kind of get my mind straight and ready to go for the day. So things like that have helped me in the talking to myself, because if I start talking to myself negatively, most of the time I just journal it out and I'm like, okay, it's out now. Like let's move on.
Better out than in. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and I struggle with anxiety, and I have for many years. And so that's a conversation also that I've been having with myself for a long time. So I will say I have a lot of tools through a lot of years of therapy that just help me get out of the spaces when I can see myself starting to get into a rut of like, I can't do this, or the thoughts that you start telling yourself. So that's been helpful. Good
for you. I'm glad you went to therapy. And do you still go to therapy?
Oh yeah. I think it's happening for a long time.
Right. So it's just like an ongoing, it's part of our world, right? It's part of our support team. So I always think that a life by design is therapy or counseling plus coaching, because counseling is great. It helps us heal, and we're removing all the historic traumas, dramas, whatever, llamas, and then in the coaching world, we're creating, and we're co-creating something to move forward towards, something to celebrate, and something to really, design. So exactly. I'm really excited that you shared that. It's important for us to continue to remind people that it's okay to ask for help. And to go online. I know it's like the hot girlfriend on your arm. The arm candy is therapy right now. But seriously, dudes and guys and gals and everybody, please go get some therapy.
And this might be helpful for people that are thinking, sometimes there's a stigma around it. I'm in California, so it's like going to the grocery store for us.
That's true.
Everybody, yeah.
I'm in North Carolina. It's not.
Okay. Well, for that, I describe it to people who are like, have a stigma around it. I'm like, all they're doing is giving you tools in your toolbox to be able to handle this life better. That's all it is. And it's also just relieving some of the crap you're carrying. Like you're just carrying whatever trauma you have, or even just the thoughts that you're having. You're carrying that around with you like in a backpack all day. And this is just a way to release that. And it is so helpful. So
I
helpful.
think people get confused with carrying as either a part of their identity. Well, this happened to me, so I have to carry it. It's who I am. I'm this way. Or they confuse carrying with caring, right? And I've said this before, but well, I have to carry the burden of, climate change so that people know I care. But that's not actually the case. You can carry it enough to take action, but you don't have to carry it all day long. If you say no to the straw when they bring the water, okay, that's one step towards, taking action. But I don't have to feel guilty because a straw was made,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a good analogy.
That's a really good point. Yes, that's true. The things we take on daily. There's another, I'm also into, I really feel like we're jumping around. I hope I'm doing this thing right. This is my first podcast.
Right. Oh my God. Did you not listen to all my interviews? They're all like this.
I love it. I love it.
So what's the other thing?
The other thing that's helped me, especially with anxiety through the therapy, through all that stuff, is there's, I don't know if you're familiar with Stoic philosophy. Most of the time when I say that word. I started
following them, Stoicism. I started following it on Instagram, and I'm resonating.
Oh, that's fascinating. Most of the time I say that and I watch people's eyes just glaze right on over. They're like, that sounds
Oh,
like
I got you. It's realism in a way. It's realistic thinking of fact and isness, but without emotional attachment. I don't know. You tell me what it is.
Well, actually, it's more about feeling your emotions and then knowing what to do with them.
I think
a lot of people, I think that's where the confusion comes. And I think that's why people glaze over, is they think that Stoicism is cold and it's about you not feeling anything and you're, impenetrable. It's actually more about these emotions are going to happen. All this stuff is going to happen. And how do you deal with it? And it's really giving you the discipline to kind of live better, do better, be better. So I find it fascinating.
It's choosing the emotion. Right? It's choosing it based on the circumstance, which is what I liked about it, right? I can decide I'm in an emotion and then I can decide where that emotion's if it's going to serve me or not. Like, what do I want to take this emotion? Do I want to change the emotion? Do I want to sit with the emotion? Yeah, right. I don't know. I like this conversation a lot because it's consciousness at the end of the day. If I'm aware and I can observe how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking, what I'm making the world mean, then I'm the common denominator that's in control of creating my own life. So see, we're spot on with this topic. Keep going. Tell me more about what your thoughts are there, how that's influenced you.
The reason I brought it up was because there's a quote by Marcus Aurelius, who's one of arguably the best emperors in the Roman times, who ironically went through so many things that we all go through today. Like he went through a pandemic. There's all these, it's fascinating to me that 2,000 years ago, they were dealing with the same, can I use a curse word on here?
Yeah, we cuss all the time here. Yeah, go ahead.
With the same shit. Hey! We're dealing with today.
She's so used to getting censored on TikTok. She doesn't know what to do with herself. I know.
Now I'm just going to just cuss word after cuss word. But he said a quote that I read that is, your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. And that is something I carry with me on my daily. Isn't that beautiful?
That is so beautiful. I've never heard that one. I love it so much.
Yeah. It stops me too. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. And I think about that so much. I think about the energy I bring into a room. I think about what I'm talking to. We were talking about how your inner dialogue, this is exactly all about your inner dialogue. Like that, whatever you're telling yourself is going to carry into your day, how you treat other people, how you talk to yourself. It's fascinating.
Yes, and yes. Okay. And I did not plug that, y'all. She said all those things on her own. It is not me.
I did
That's
it.
Exactly. I talk about that all the time. There was a book written. Yeah, all the time. I mean, it's all about. So a book that comes to mind was written by James Allen about 120 years ago. And it's called As a Man Thinketh. Now, you can look in multiple religious texts and say, as a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is she. So your thoughts create your reality. And if your soul takes on the color of your thoughts, absolutely. You are I always say it's either the most annoying thing or the most liberating thing to realize that you are the common denominator and that all of us, we all just showed up for you. You just brought us in to be in your world. It's not really about us. It's about you and what you're going to make it mean. So tell us more about what you're making your new Life by Design mean now. Like what's really working well for you? And then is there some things you're still working on?
I'm 100% still working on it. This is not a like, I'm done. Oh, I finished. I'm perfect. Here we go. Watch me soar.
Could have fooled me. I think you're looking pretty perfect out there.
Oh, you're so sweet. We can hang out anytime. No, yes, there's so much more to do. I'm definitely not done with this. I will say I'm feeling so much more. I just can deal with things a lot better. And also I'm more confident in myself. And I think I'm happier because I'm back in touch with the things that made me happy as a kid. I'm back in touch with the things that just make me happy in life in general.
What are some of those things that really make you super happy every day?
I mean, you see it all the time in TikTok, the music, movies, sunlight, being outside, finding magical moments in the mundane, observing people and seeing how they interact, dancing, singing, the whole.
Aware, you're present. I mean, when you say sunlight and sunshine, that was the biggest thing that hit me. I quit my job a long time ago. And I remember once on a Tuesday walking to a Starbucks to do some work. And it was 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, which I know that sounds weird to say this, but I was like, it's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday and it's sunny and I'm outside and I'm not in a big corporate building. And then I got to the Starbucks and I was like, what do these people do? Like, how many people have a doctor's appointment today? Like, why are they all here? They'd already started waking up. They're always like, hey, I want a Life by Design that's flexible and free. And I'm just so excited for you to have begun to really give yourself permission to play. And I just had this image of you laughing in the doorway when your husband unveiled the blow up Christmas decorations.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, why is there a dinosaur?
Oh, my God. Steve the Christmasaurus is what we ended up naming him. He didn't make it out this year. He'll be back next year.
That's right, because you guys alternate years on decorate. So you're laughing and playing and so I love this. Tell that story about how y'all play like that.
Play is big. Yeah. So in our house, my husband and I have very different views of what Christmas looks like. His is, anything and everything Christmas, not super curated. Things are just strung about. And I'm super curated. I like there to kind of be a theme for the Christmas. I want everything to be beautiful. So we do want both of us to have the Christmas of our dreams. So we switch off years. So one year it'll be his year, one year I'll decorate. This year was my year. This coming year now is his year. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows?
Buckle up, buttercups. Yeah. Well, you use the word curated, and that aligns nicely with, a Life by Design. I'm going to ask you to talk now. I mentioned I want to know about your self-care, more intentional. And I'm curious, so I'm going to push maybe here a little bit. Okay. I know a lot of people who are very detail oriented in their life, and I have a history of being quite the perfectionist, right? Mm-hmm. When you say I am super curated, I'd be really curious how I'm sure that really fosters great content. How does that sneak into the old daily life, and does it ever get in the way?
Oh, yeah, you nailed it. I am such a perfectionist, and it drives me not bonkers. It drives me and everyone I know bonkers. I have to be super cautious about, this is something I learned about myself in Life by Design is if I'm into something, I'm going to give it 110% of my energy. And so I have to be very cautious about what I do, because if I'm giving it 100%, then that means I'm also going to make it what I deem as not perfect, but as close to it as I can get. And it's a problem, and it's not realistic. And it's held me back from things. It's made it so that I don't finish something that I started because it wasn't perfect. Us today, there could have been a chance that a few years ago I would not have done it, because I would have been like, I can't control this. That's the other thing. Perfection, my therapist tells me, perfection is the illusion of control. And I'm like,
well, I will share. May I share our interaction since we first started this process? So,
yes, please do.
I love you. And I woke up thinking about this. I was like, oh, I love this girl. And like, you sent me this email. Well, first, I found
Dearest
you.
Nicoa, will you please answer my 3,000 questions about a podcast? Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Oh, and that was after could we have a quick call to actually talk about talking on a podcast, which I bless your heart, right? I'm this Southern girl. I'm going to bless your heart, but that's okay. It's okay that you did those things. I've done about 85 interviews now, and I've only had to do that twice.
Oh, well, I'm
just giving you the mirror. I love you. And you know what? Because there's a part of me that's like, oh, let's just do it. So I'm like, I used to be the control freak, but now in my life by design, I'm like going with the flow. It took me an hour to do all that research. I have all my notes. They're not organized. They're highlighted in different colors. I'm just showing you the difference now, but I still get the work done. I still like the standards that I hold for myself, and I'm happier. So I want to interview you in a year. Yeah. And I want to see how you've integrated more flow so that you aren't up till 3 a.m. forcing the final product, or you're not having to overanalyze and think about your interview with Nicoa, right?
Yeah.
And
wouldn't that be
this
great?
is me projecting.
Part of it too is that I put, especially in this instance, I just want to make sure that I'm providing two things. One, I think I'm having a bit of an imposter syndrome situation that you even wanted to interview me. And I'm like, am I worth interviewing? Is this going to be any good? And then the second part of it is I want to provide some sort of value to this. I don't just want to come on here and be a bump on a log. So that's where that comes from too.
Of course.
It's, but
I knew that.
Yeah. I think we all do.
I love that. I mean, because when I saw your questions, I was very busy at that moment with my mom, but I remember thinking, she needs me to respond to these questions thoughtfully so that you could feel more comfortable and in control. And that's okay. And I think this example, I share it. I'm compelled to share it because a lot of people spend a lot of time judging other people's way of showing up in the world and saying, I don't have time to answer these questions. I mean, of course, I always have time because I made my life very flexible. But I want people to recognize that sometimes you do things for other people to help them feel more comfortable. And it's actually a gift to them. It's not you being put out and burdened. It's just, as a phrase, some quote I've been using a lot lately, it's not a burden. It's part of the dance. And I really enjoy this dance with you. And it was my honor to have you. And of course, you're worthy of being on this podcast. I mean, I interviewed my brother. Everybody's worthy. You were born worthy. You were brainwashed to forget that. And now that you're 40, 41, you're remembering again. It happens to everybody about this decade. So you're beautiful.
I'm so glad it happens because it's an important thing. But thank you. I want to thank you, well, for both. The perfectionist thing, that's a tough thing. That's something that I will still be working on. And you're my inspiration here with that. And also, I just lost my train of thought on that second.
That's okay. I was going to have you tell us, it's clear to me that you put so much into those videos. It didn't surprise me at all when you took a little sabbatical in January. Tell me about that.
That's part of my protecting my creativity, because creativity is finite. I mean, it's a muscle. It doesn't, when I'm working that hard on something, coming up with ideas, it does dry up if I'm also not able to take care of myself. So I build in these intermissions. That way I'm not just burning out. And that goes also to my whole reason for doing any of this is to provide value, some sort of value. And if I get tired and I'm just doing it because I feel like I have to, then I start putting out junk, and my audience is better than that. I have high standards for them. And so I take time off. I'm sure I'm breaking some sort of social media rule by doing this, because I'll be like, now this has almost been a 2-month break because I've been doing some other behind the scenes stuff. I'm working the whole time, but I'm just not posting. So but that's part of the life design, right? You have to figure out who you are, how you work, and be okay with that. We all work differently.
And yeah, you can't get this thing called life wrong. You just can't, no matter what the algorithm says. And honestly, what are we hearing right now? 2024, for any kind of social media visibility, it's all about authenticity. So let's just be ourselves. How do you take care of yourself during those intermissions? Like, because my invitation to everybody is to be as gluttonous as possible in moments for you. Like, I want you loving up on yourself so much that you'll get so fueled regularly, like flow throughout your day, that you actually don't even need an intermission. You'll be like, oh, right, I'm supposed to take the month off. Okay, great. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you gluttonously remind yourself that you are enough and that you're worthy and that you love yourself?
In the intermissions or just every day?
Yes.
Well, I think by taking the intermissions, I'm reminding myself of that. I think on the everyday, you know what? I'm not so wonderful at celebrating myself. I think that feels kind of uncomfortable for me sometimes. So I think I just do the things that I know makes me feel good. I go for a walk. I get the sleep. I read. I just make sure that every day I'm doing something to make me better that day. Even if it's by 0.5 percentage point, just something to make me a little bit better each day. And then like in the intermissions, for the gluttonous part of it, for the first week and a half of an intermission, I will do nothing. People ask me to do something, I say no. I read a book for 2 days straight. I just go with whatever my impulses are, because that's the only way that I'll recharge. I didn't realize how important rest is to all this. And actually, in my research, I was listening to your episode with Jennifer Battle. Is that her name?
Yes. Yeah. That was recent.
She was wonderful. That was such a great conversation. But she's talking amazing about rest. And I was like, yes. I was like sitting here listening to it going, yes, you nailed it. Like, that's such an important part of things that I did not realize that it's just as important as the work is the rest.
It is. And, rest and relaxation aren't just going to get your nails done or whatever. It's literally like, it makes me think of the Seinfeld episode. I think it's Elaine Bennis is in there with, I think, Seinfeld and, or I don't know, one of the characters. And they were like, well, what did you do this weekend? And she goes, nothing. And he goes, no, really, like, what did you do? She goes, I did nothing. He's like, what do you mean? She's like, I sat in a chair and stared. And I'm like, yeah, I do that a lot more now. Like, I just sit there and I stare and I'm conscious and I'm looking at the tree, or I'm just not doing anything. It's about being, right? This way of being. And it sounds like you're really beginning to learn to refuel yourself. And I think you have a lot to celebrate. That's actually the question I typically ask at the end of all of my coaching calls. And I'll ask you, if you were going to celebrate, what's the one thing you want to celebrate most about your life by design? Or I should say about you, either one, both.
I'll say it's so funny. You can hear me stumbling. I'm literally like, celebrating myself feels weird. No, I will say I am very proud of myself for acknowledging that something was wrong. Something was not, my life was, something was definitely wrong and I needed to change it. And I was the only one to do that. And I took the steps to do it. I will be proud of that because it's hard. It's hard. It's still hard. It's hard if you're a person. And if you're still listening to me babble on this podcast, and you're going through something like that where you feel lost, it's hard. And just taking the baby steps is really the only way to start getting out of it. And then one day you just start feeling a little bit better. You just start seeing the light. You start noticing little magical things. It's just like, it just happens slowly. And so I am very proud of myself that I did it and that I've stuck to it. And that I've created something that people seem to be resonating with. And I'm just so grateful. I think that's the biggest thing is I'm just so grateful that this is happening, and I don't know where it's going, but I'm just thankful, and I'm so thankful for the conversations like this with people like you. So yeah, those are things. That's good.
That's a great. I want you to do that every day when you pass a mirror. I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to say, I am grateful for this, and I'm celebrating me because of whatever, because that's what we need more of. Self-celebration and self-love. And then that's a big fuel for being able to create whatever it is you give yourself permission to create. And I want you to know, I'm really proud of you. I watched your video where you say publicly, I'm proud of myself. You put those little, when you turn 40, I think it was your 40 birthday one.
You know that I took that out of that video 50 times, and I sat there wondering if I should post that and I'm still not sure if I should have posted that part of it. Cause I'm like, I'm crying. I said those words. I just feel so vulnerable. Yes. I totally judge. I know.
I love that you did that. That's what we all want to hear. I mean, I was bawling this week, talking about my mom with eye patches on, trying to do some self-care in the midst of packing for 12 hours in a day. And I got more activity and interaction because I just was telling my truth. So keep telling your truth. You do have beautiful curated outcomes. And I'm sure that part of this plan for yours is to be able to market that skill. If you want people to, I don't know, let me not assume. You tell us, what is it that you hope to put out there for the world? Or do you want people to come and follow you? Do you want people to hire you? Do you want to get put in a hand commercial? We talked about your hands being in that one fancy movie.
I mean, these babies really are the money makers. That's what I'm here for. I'd like to become a hand model. This is what I do.
I knew it. You'd probably make a shit ton more money.
I would say I'm still developing exactly where things are going. But for now, yes, I'm creating content on social media. I would love to connect with you on there. I'm at Lizz Rantze on Instagram and TikTok. I have a lot of things I am working on behind the scenes that I can't quite talk about yet. So I have things rolling so very slowly, but yes, this is what I'm doing. And I just hope it provides some sort of value, some sort of lightness in your day. And we have a good time. There's a lot of shenanigans.
Lots of shenanigans. And I have had a blast having some shenanigans with you today. We can end with our ASMR.
Thank you so much, Nicoa. You are really a gem.
As are you. Okay.
I do want to say before I go, this is really, really amazing that you're creating a space like this for your audience and for people, because I really wish that I would have found something like this when I was going through it. I feel like we all feel like our experience is exceptional. And this, in this case, like losing yourself is not exceptional. A lot of people go through it, and it just is very helpful to feel like you're not the only one. You're not alone. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for creating this space. And this was a blast.
It is a blast. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't having fun. And thank you for saying all that. I really do believe it's an honor and a privilege to create a space. And I am compelled. I just can't stop talking. All my friends are now rolling their eyes, and my family is like, Mom, please. But I'm glad we're friends now. And I promise you, I'm going to check back in with you and see how you're doing with all that beautiful, curated self-care and self-love. And I cannot wait to see what you put out next. I am one of your biggest fans. Lizz Rantze, thank you for being on Coffee with Nicoa. And I will talk to you later. Love you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for a caffeinated conversation. Subscribe to Coffee with Nicoa for more stories from people living a life by design. You can also find inspiration on Instagram. Just follow Coffee with Nicoa. And check out our website, coffeewithnicoa.com. And that's Nicoa, Nicoa. We look forward to talking with you soon, and enjoy your coffee between now and then.